Hi students, this video tutorial is going to be about the essays that I assigned for this class. So they're going to be a couple of 5-paragraph essays that you need to write that are supposed to demonstrate the knowledge you've gained about the material, the lecture material as we move forward. And so these are going to be 5-paragraph essays. You're going to upload them as attachments, and now I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the rubric. You're going to start out with an introduction paragraph. Your introduction paragraph should very clearly answer the question that's posed by the essay. So each essay asks a question. You're going to want to make sure that your essay has a direct answer to that question. You're not just talking about the subject of the question. So make sure you're clearly answering the question. That's your thesis. Make sure it's clear that the reader, whoever's going to be reading your essay, typically it's going to be me, is going to have a sense of where you're going to go with the essay. So things shouldn't be that surprising as I move forward reading the essay. You should already have kind of hinted at how you're going to support your answers in your opening paragraph. After the opening paragraph, there are going to be 3 body paragraphs, and each one of these paragraphs should be a different type of evidence that's supporting the argument you're making. So you make an answer to the question. You provide an answer to the question. That's your thesis. The different body paragraphs are different ways in which you show how you are backing up your answer. So these are the paragraphs where you provide evidence for your answer. So it's very important that the details in these paragraphs are concrete. And it's also important that they're distinct from one another. So if you keep using the same example, let's say we're talking about the 14th century and we're talking about the Black Death, and you only talk about the disease, but you don't talk about the economic repercussions, you don't talk about the religious repercussions, but you give me 3 paragraphs that are all basically the same thing and kind of repetitive, that's not ideal. I'm going to mark you down for that. So each of the paragraphs should be distinct, a distinct subtopic that's showing your wealth of knowledge about the topic that you're writing on, all these different aspects of knowledge. This is your time to show off. This is your time to show me that you've read, listened to this material, and that you can categorize it and explain it back to me. And so you should have concrete examples. So let's say, again, we're talking about the Black Death. You're talking about the economic examples. You are going to say, this is a paragraph about the economic repercussions of the Black Death. These repercussions were affected the nobles, affected the church, affected the peasants, affected merchants. So there are your examples. So you need to have concrete examples. You need to have details that support those examples. So it's not good enough just to say the Black Death affected nobles. You have to say, here's an example of a noble who was affected by the Black Death, or here's an example of how a noble was affected by the Black Death. And then, along with those concrete examples, you have to provide details. When did this happen? Dates, and ideally some form of support from the primary sources that we're reading for this unit. So either the text that we read for discussion, or for the discussion board for the week, or the other option would be works of art or artifacts from the PowerPoint that you looked at. Use those to support your arguments. Those are the best forms of evidence that support your arguments. So make sure you provide one of those in each paragraph, and then in your conclusion, make sure you draw out your ideas to express something significant. A lot of times people just kind of copy and paste the introduction, change up some words. Don't do that. Make sure that your conclusion is really drawing out and explaining the significance of the evidence that you've provided. So clear direct answer to the question. 3 different sets of examples in the 3 different body paragraphs, and then an accurate, interesting, engaging conclusion that draws out the significance of your ideas.